The story begins in the mid-21st century, where humanity is barely surviving. The world has changed. The lush green earth that once fed billions has turned into a wasteland, one plagued by endless dust storms and collapsing ecosystems. And humanity's options are drying up as fast as the soil beneath their feet. And corn is one of the last crops barely holding on. But for how long, no one knows. In the middle of all this despair lives Joseph Cooper, a man with more talent than his current life allows. Once, Cooper was a NASA test pilot, a man who touched the skies with dreams of reaching the stars. Now, he's grounded, literally forced into farming like everyone else, because food, not science, has become humanity's highest priority. And Cooper, a widowed father of two, spends his days battling the dusty land just to feed his family. His daughter, Murphy, everyone calls her Murph, is sharp. Alongside them is Donald, Cooper's father-in-law, who helps keep the family together. At school, Murph gets into trouble for something that might sound ridiculous. Her teachers insist that the Apollo missions, the Great Moon landings, were faked.
It's an old federal textbook. We've replaced them with the corrected versions, explaining how the Apollo missions were fake to bankrupt the Soviet Union.
Nature itself seems to be rebelling. Dust storms sweep across the land like armies of ash, forcing families to seal their homes and wear masks just to breathe. During one of these storms, something strange happens. Murph's bedroom becomes the stage for something unexplainable. Murph insists it's a ghost, some invisible presence trying to talk to her. Cooper brushes it off at first, the way any father would. But there's something about it, something that nags at him. Because in this dying world, what neither of them knows yet is that this so-called ghost is about to change everything. Cooper chalks it up to gravity. A massive dust storm rolls through, bigger than usual. Murph's window is left open, and when she and Cooper rush to close it, they discover something extraordinary on the floor, like binary code. Murph is convinced this is her ghost communicating with her, giving her clues. But Cooper looks closer, and his pilot's mind begins to turn. Someone, or something, wants them to find it. So Cooper and Murph have a set of mysterious coordinates. He grabs his truck, takes Murph along, and follows the trail. They drive through miles of desolate farmland and dust-covered landscapes until they arrive at just a hidden facility buried away from the world. But then alarms go off, floodlights cut through the darkness. Suddenly, Murph and Cooper are dragged inside. Inside this secretive compound, Cooper expects punishment, be even execution for trespassing. But instead, something far stranger happens. He finds himself face to face with the very thing he thought no longer existed. NASA, long believed to be dead, bankrupt, or abandoned, has been alive all along, operating in the shadows. At the center of it all, Professor John Brand, an old but brilliant scientist with a mind sharp enough to rival the universe itself. And Brand doesn't waste time. He lays it all out for Cooper. And now, NASA is preparing one final desperate mission to go through the wormhole and secure a future for the human race. And here's where it gets personal. Brand wants Cooper as a pilot, one of the last who still remembers how to truly fly. He needs him to command the Endurance, but the choice isn't easy. Cooper has Murph and Tom.
I've got kids, Professor. Get out there and save them.
Children who already fear losing him. And Murph especially, she's furious at even the suggestion. She begs him not to go. But Cooper makes the hardest decision of his life. Before leaving, he gives Murph his wristwatch. But, as he drives away, Murph refuses to even say goodbye. Cooper, heartbroken but resolute, heads off to join NASA's mission. He's not just flying a mission, he's gambling with the fate of his species. And as Brand makes clear, Cooper is the key. And now, there's no turning back. Humanity's survival depends on the crew of the Endurance, a massive, rotating spacecraft designed to sustain them for years. It's not just a ship, it's a lifeline. The journey begins with a launch that feels almost surreal. Earth shrinks behind them. Cooper sits at the controls, his hands steady. The voyage isn't short. It takes 2 long years just to reach Saturn, where the wormhole waits like a cosmic gateway. For 2 years, the crew lives in the cold silence of space. Finally, the entrance approaches the wormhole. And here's where things get wild. That's the wormhole, a tunnel through dimensions, carved by something, or someone, far beyond human understanding. The crew steels themselves. This isn't just a leap across space, it's a leap of faith. Cooper grips the controls, and the entrance plunges into the unknown. Inside, the wormhole is unlike anything they could imagine. And just as quickly as it began, they burst out the other side. They've made it. The first target, Miller's planet. From orbit, it looks deceptively simple, a blue world covered entirely in water. Miller's planet orbits dangerously close to Gargantua. Down there, every hour spent on the surface equals years passing back on the entrance. A single mistake could cost decades. The planet is nothing but endless, shallow ocean. The wreckage of Miller's beacon is there, but there's no sign of her. But then Doyle notices something on the horizon, a wave, racing straight toward them. Panic surges. They scramble to the lander, but Brand is still too far out, desperately trying to grab Miller's recorder. Cooper screams for her to leave it, but she won't. Doyle rushes in to help, shoving Brand toward the ship, but Doyle is too far behind. The wave slams into them, swallowing him instantly. Cooper fights the controls, sealing the hatch just as the water engulfs the craft. The engines sputter, soaked and damaged. They're alive. The waterlogged engines need time to dry before they can lift off. Every minute they spend here, it's costing them decades back on the Endurance. Finally, the engines roar back to life, and they escape, breaking free of the ocean planet's grip. Romilly is waiting, and he's no longer the young man they left behind. 23 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Miller's planet cost them Doyle. 23 years have also passed back on Earth. And for Cooper, that means his children Murph and Tom aren't children anymore. He rushes to the comms bay, desperate to see what he's missed. The screen flickers to life, and the messages start rolling in. First comes Tom. Message after message, growing older with each one. Cooper watches helplessly as his son's life unfolds in front of him. And then comes silence. Murph, the daughter who once clung to him, hasn't sent a single message. On Earth, Murph isn't that little girl anymore. She's grown into a brilliant scientist, working under Professor Brand. She pours her brilliance into solving the gravity equation. Now face a devastating truth. Their mission is just about finding a new world. Professor Brand, frail and dying, calls Murph to his bedside. In his final moments, he confesses the unthinkable. The equation was never solvable, at least, not with the data he had. Murph is devastated. The man she trusted, the mission her father left her for, it was all built on false promises. With limited fuel, they can't visit every candidate world. It's down to 2. Edmund's planet, which Amelia Brand believes in with all her heart, or Mon's planet, where humanity's most celebrated astronaut still sends back promising signals. So they set course for Mon's world. When they arrive, a frozen wasteland, ice clouds towering in the skies. But the most astonishing sight isn't the planet itself, it's Mon. Dr. Mon, the hero of the Lazarus missions. For now, the crew wants to believe. Humanity's greatest explorer is alive. His world might be their salvation. And after everything they've endured, hope is a dangerous thing to lose. What they don't realize yet is that Mon has been hiding something. Something that will turn this hopeful reunion into the most dangerous betrayal of all. But Cooper, unsatisfied with words, he wants to see the data for himself, to understand exactly what they're dealing with. Cooper agrees to accompany him on a scouting mission, hoping to confirm the truth with his own eyes. Then, suddenly, Mon stops. He removes a piece of Cooper's helmet, shoving him down onto the ice. In an instant, everything changes. The trusted hero reveals his true face. Mon presses down, cracking Cooper's visor, letting the planet's toxic air seep inside. Cooper gasps, clawing for survival as Mon coldly explains his crime. His signals weren't proof of habitability, they were a desperate plea for rescue. Meanwhile, back at the base, Romilly discovers a bomb trap hidden in Mon's equipment. The moment he tries to access the data, it detonates, killing him instantly. The crew has been betrayed on every front. Desperate to save Cooper, she finds him barely alive. She pulls him aboard just in time, but Mon isn't done. He's stolen another lander, setting course for the Endurance. Cooper and Amelia, still reeling from his betrayal, race after him in the other craft. Up above, Mon prepares to dock, and the docking procedure is delicate, dangerous. Cooper pleads with him to stop.
Do not attempt docking. I repeat, do not attempt docking.
But Mon doesn't listen. He believes he can force his way aboard, take control. Mon attempts the docking sequence manually, but his arrogance betrays him. The seals don't align, and in a split second, the connection rips apart. The lander explodes in a violent burst, killing Mon instantly. But worse, the Endurance itself is torn open, spinning wildly out of control. And then Cooper does what he does best. He takes the controls. He lines up their lander with the spinning Endurance, matching its insane rotation. Amelia stares at him like he's lost his mind. Cooper pulls it off. He saves the Endurance. Still, Cooper looks ahead. Cooper and Amelia have to do the unthinkable. The only possible way to reach it is to slingshot around Gargantua, the monstrous black hole that dominates the system. It comes at a cost. Hours for them will mean decades outside. Cooper stares at the data, his jaw tight. Outside the windows, Gargantua looms like an infinite storm of darkness and fire. Cooper and Tars are dragged deeper and deeper into Gargantua's abyss. Cooper's lander breaks apart as Gargantua swallows him whole. By all logic, this should be the end. But instead of death, Cooper finds himself in something impossible. He awakens inside a vast, surreal construct, a structure that stretches on forever in every direction, filled with countless versions of one place. Murph's bedroom, the shelves, the walls. This isn't an alien prison, it's a bridge. A tool, a way to communicate across time, and they've given him this space to fulfill one final purpose. He reaches out, his hands pressing against the invisible walls of time, trying to touch her. He was the ghost in Murph's room. Cooper looks to the only link he has, Murph's watch, the one he gave her before he left, controlling its movement. She realizes the ticking ain't random. It's a message from her father. The Tesseract begins to collapse, its purpose fulfilled. But instead of death, he wakes gasping, disoriented inside a hospital room, surrounded by humans. He's alive. Through the window, he sees something incredible, not Earth, but a massive station orbiting Saturn. Humanity has escaped. Murph, armed with the data her father sent through the watch, solved the gravity equation. Then comes the reunion Cooper's heart has longed for. He finds her at last. She's an old woman now, frail and lying in bed, her life nearing its end. Murph, her voice fading, tells her father to go. No parent should have to watch their child die, she whispers. What he needs now is to find Amelia Brand. Far away, on Edmund's planet, Amelia is alive with Case, preparing the new colony. She's alone, building a world from scratch, waiting for someone to join her, and for Cooper. One last adventure is just beginning.